Hello my loves, welcome here. In this video I want to take you through the process of how I make ceremonial cacao. This doesn't mean that you have to follow this exact process, but I want to give you a starting point for you to be able to build on your own practice and see what feels good to you. I know that a lot of people create their version of cacao in a very kind of modern and I guess efficient way. They use blenders. I don't because I feel like when we're working with ceremonial cacao, we're working not just with the nutritional benefits of the plant, but we're working with this spirit medicine. And I don't believe that putting that spirit medicine through a blender is a very respectful way of working with it. That's just me. If that's part of your process and it makes your life easier, by all means, stick with that. Do whatever works for you. But the reason that I like to do things slower is because that is part of how I connect to my own heart. When I am connected to my heart, I find that I go through things in a more intentional and slow way. When I'm rushing, I'm generally kind of in my head. I'm thinking about all the things that I have to do, and I'm not being fully present. So the first step to this ritual is to just come into your body, be present with yourself right here, right now. And maybe that's not that easy for you. So know that the medicine of cacao actually does help you ground. But have that intention to start with, that you're doing this ritual for your own self-care with the intention of connecting deeper within yourself, with your own heart. And if you have that as a starting point, you really can't get this process wrong. So I'll put some ratios below just as an indicator. But I believe that when you're starting out, just start small. Like with everything, don't necessarily go for the biggest dose. And when it comes to a lot of cacao ceremonies, a lot of facilitators will use the amount of cacao that is appropriate for lucid dreaming or deep meditation. But just know that when you're working with this energy, with this medicine, the amount that you use is not really important at all. It's not going to give you a better effect if you do more when you're connecting with the medicine. That energy is with you no matter what, whether you have one sip or whether you have a whole thermos. And trust me, I've done that before. If you are sensitive to caffeine, just know that within ceremonial cacao, there is a little bit of caffeine. So if you know that that does affect you personally, then just be mindful and pace yourself. Just try smaller amounts and build up. But as a general rule of thumb, I'd say 1 cup to a tablespoon of cacao when you are seasoned to using it regularly. And that is if you are seeking to have a dose for a ritual, for a meditation, or for a spiritual practice. Otherwise, what I tend to do is have a couple of tablespoons, but I'll make a large batch. So I'll use a pot, I'll make a large batch, I'll prepare it in exactly the way that I will guide you through, but then I'll put it in a thermos. And so I'll use it throughout the day or throughout the event that I'm running. So I go pretty old school with a pot like this, put some water in it. So I would probably fill that up a little bit half past the center point, and then add a few tablespoons of cacao. Really, I want you to kind of just feel into what feels good and authentic to you at this point in time. Maybe you like it quite strong, maybe not quite so much, and that's okay. A couple of things that I do like to add are some spices. So I'll maybe add some rock salt. I tend to have that in a grinder, so I'll grind it freshly into the pot. If you do add turmeric, just remember to balance it with pepper, because pepper and turmeric kind of work together. The pepper, or there's some component of the pepper that activates the turmeric. I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know too much about that. I just know that those two go hand in hand, so use them together. What I really like to add is cinnamon, sometimes a little bit of nutmeg, and occasionally, actually quite often, I'll put a pinch of chili or cayenne pepper, because that heat of the cayenne pepper or the chili will help open your heart. And I do like that little bit of a kick. If you are more of a sweet tooth, you may like to add coconut sugar or maple syrup. My favorite to use is organic honey. And just use that to taste, so that well, cacao is actually quite bitter in its raw ceremonial form. It's in the I guess the purest form that we can receive it here. It is quite bitter to the taste. It's not like chocolate, so you may want to add sweetness to it, and that's perfectly fine. What I do is, once I've added all of those ingredients, I heat up the water. So not quite to the boil, but until the cacao starts to melt completely through it. There is cacao is quite fatty. It is it's healthy fats, don't worry. But you will notice that you need to blend it up in order for it to mix properly. And there's something quite beautiful about the blending process, because you're adding air into the mix and you're aerating it, and it really does change the consistency and the feel to it. So from a spiritual perspective, I believe that you're bringing that heat, you're bringing the earthiness of the cacao, but you're also bringing in the air, like we bring in the breath, and we breathe life into something. And while you're doing this, you can get as intensely into your ritual as you like. I don't mean that everything has to be perfect around you, that you have to have rose petals all over the floor and soft music playing in the corner, and your home perfectly clean and impeccable. What I mean is that bring your heart to the party. This is not just a process where you go through a recipe step by step and you tick off every phase, but rather lean into the practice as part of your ritual already. Be really present. You can just enjoy the process, be there. Don't turn it off and just run away for 5 minutes while you wait for it to get hot. Trust me, I've done that, and sometimes I forget about it, and it boils and sets off the smoke alarm. That's happened more times than I am willing to admit. So stay there, be present with what you are creating, and start to infuse your intention into the cacao as it's preparing. Maybe set the intention of what you would like to use it for. Are you seeking a particular answer? You can already at this stage start to connect with your intuition, with your guides, connect with your body, maybe have a little dance around, start to bring in some movement, and make it fun in your own way. Then I recommend, once you take it off the heat and you've blended it up, to add some coconut cream or some coconut milk. That's what I really like to add, because it turns it into, I guess, this decadent type dessert. And I feel that the texture also changes. It becomes very sensual. And I really feel that as women, when we lean into that pleasure and that sensuality of all of our senses, we are awakening that divine energy within us, and that is really potent energy to work with. So if that feels like really comforting and nourishing to you, add a tablespoon of or more of coconut cream into the mix, blend it up really well, and pour it into a special container. I do feel that this is an important part of the process, and this is why my private clients and members within my membership receive a sacred cup to proceed with their ceremonies, and to have something that's really special. Because this, as we use one particular item with our intention, with this intention of connecting to ourselves with our heart, it builds up energetic memory in the same way that you would build up muscle memory. And your body, your mind, your psyche, everything knows that when you bring out this cup, this is a special time. This is a time for you, for your self-care, for your nourishment. And it just brings an extra layer into your ritual. So I don't mean that you can't just use your own favorite cup, But I do believe that when we embark on this journey of connection to self and personal discovery and personal development, having certain tools that are meaningful and significant to us on that journey are really powerful tools in this process. So with that in mind, I hope to inspire you to create your own ritual in your own way, on your own terms, in your own time, and know that you can really play with this and find what feels good to you. Trust yourself, and I will see you soon inside either some more videos or some rituals within the Heartscaping membership. Thanks for watching. I love you. I will see you soon.